So I'm going to get us going. I am Baroness Kolfina and Kira Olter's daughter. I am currently the Baroness of bgwlad, the Lady of Hell's Gate. I also recently took on the role of the Kingdom Web Minister of Ansteora, and I am a Pelican of the member of the Order of the Pelican in the Society of Ansteora. I mentioned all those things because me and my good friend Nicaise are going to be talking about service. So I wanted to give you a little bit of a landscape of where I'm at right now and things that have brought me to this table. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Dom Nicaise Monpetit. I'm also a member of the Order of the Pelican. I am currently the regional seneschal for this area, so that's everything from kind of Waco south. I am previous local seneschal for bgwlad, as well as other officership and that sort of stuff. I will be stepping in as ER Kingdom Seneschal any second now. So I've spent a lot of time on the seneschal path, but I've been in the SCA for about 11 years now, and always in bgwlad, so this is my home. And very quickly found service sort of being part of my heart and where I enjoyed contributing. So, do you want to start?
Sure. So the slides will be coming up behind us, but the first, I thought to print copies of the slides so we can get going until this is going. So we're starting with the topic of the service path in the society. And the first question that you want to ask is, what is service in the SCA? And the SCA literally cannot exist without volunteers, without people donating their time, their energy, and their skills at every level. And so SCA service is broad. It's everything from local artisans teaching classes, from us talking to newcomers, from local officers, running practices, submitting reports, doing paperwork, and then it goes up and up from there, from people who organize events, who sit at gate and say, do you have your membership? And everything in between, the hauling, the creating, the skill, it's everything.
I mean, and one of the places people don't think about service is arts as a service. All of the people that make the scrolls and spend all their time painting them, people that sew clothes for the Crown or the B&B, people that make banners. There's a lot of people that dual arts and service at the same time. So this is absolutely not a singular path. Same thing on fighting. You can fight and you can teach. That is a service. This is not a singular path. It is very easy to roll in with your other activities that you want to participate in the SCA.
Yep. And I want to say kind of generally when we talk about the service path, we've had classes about the arts and sciences path, the martial path. We've had some deep focuses on rapier and chivalric. And whenever we talk about what is the path in the SCA, chime in if you think if I'm getting this wrong, but it's your path wherever it ends up. But when we talk about the path, we think about it in the context of and pursuing the recognition as a member of the order, the peerage that's relevant to your discipline. And with service, with martial, with arts and sciences, the way that I look at it is your path towards becoming a voice, a leader, and a driver in that realm. And the phenomenal thing about service, it is sky's the limit of how you can pursue that, what you do, so it's both very, very open-ended, which can be a plus and a minus depending on how you look at it.
And I find it interesting because there's a lot of people who do a lot of service in conjunction with another area of the SCA, and they may not get recognized as quickly for their service from an awards point of view. So, it's kind of easy to go through the check marks. Okay, I get my talent on fighting, I get my bomb, I get my mod, and those sorts of things. Service, you can be a exceptional contributor, and people kind of forget because you're also an exceptional in another area. So the ultimate thing I'm going to say is awards are not the end all be all. You can be of service to the society, and you may get awards, you may not. It's okay. Do what you love doing to create this game that we all enjoy playing. So, award structure?
Yeah, so we'll move ourselves forward.
Yes.
So just going to give you the basic breakdown of at the local level and at the kingdom level what the award structure looks like. And I'm actually going to do these from bottom to the top. So in bgwlad local area, I mentioned Baroness of bgwlad, Lady of Hellsgate. We have 2 local awards that are non-armigerous, so they carry no rank. It's awards that we can use to recognize folks that have given service to either our stronghold of Hellsgate. That award is called the Keeper of the Flame. So I'm actually kind of starting in the middle of the slide there. That is for service to the stronghold of Hellsgate. There is at the bgwlad level, the Golden Martlet. That is the award that we use to recognize folks who are giving their service to the barony. And again, very broad. It's like, it's sometimes very difficult to be like, well, what kind of service should I do? It's like, well, you should do the service that brings you joy. And if it's contributing to the group, there you go. You've now entered the realm of how we can use these awards to recognize it. And then, do you want to talk about the DB?
The Drago Bryn, it's the Order of the Drago Bryn. This is basically the ultimate service to the barony. This is extensive, deep, and long-lasting service to the group. We actually have our group will meet and discuss people and say, are these people that we feel have demonstrated extended, deep service to the barony, and we choose, or we advise the Baron and Baroness of bgwlad that we believe that these people would be a benefit to the order, and then the Baron and Baroness of bgwlad go to the Crown and say we would like to advance this. So the difference with the Drago Bryn and the other baronial and stronghold awards is this is actually armigerous. So if you've learned about the order of precedence and all this sort of stuff, it actually goes into the order of precedence, and it has to be approved by the Crown. Yep. And if I do not have my DB, so these all have regalia that come with them. The Drago Bryn is a black and white striped ribbon with a medallion typically on it.
Yep, I have mine here. If folks want to, we can pass these around afterwards.
Yes.
But this is
as a little dragon holding the halberd, very cute.
We'll pass it around because it's hard to see in this light.
Yes. So those are our baronial awards. So you'll hear people talk about Martlet, DB, because Drago Bryn is a mouthful, or the Keeper of the Flame. The Martlet and the Keeper of the Flame both tend to have medallions associated with them.
Yep.
So then I'll go ahead and start
with our kingdom.
On kingdom award structure, and I will start on the bottom again. So the Sabled Sparrow is a recognition of a singular act of service. So this is, it doesn't have any precedence. It's just the Crown has recognized that you did something really cool. And people have gotten them for, dealing with the tents that fell over at an event, and suddenly they dropped everything that they were doing and went and picked up other people's tents and put them back up and saved the day for someone. And so it's the black, yellow, and red braided cord, and that is a singular service. Then we have the Sable Crane, which is our AOA level. So if you guys have talked about award structures, we have the AOA, grant, and peerage. So the AOA is recognition of service, and it's service in a particular area. So you could have your recognition for your service in marshalling, teaching a martial art sport, or running gate, or being an officer. And I will say that this is something that's changed recently. So if you look at my OP, my crane was just given as a crane. You got one crane and that's all you ever got, and it was for everything you did. But recently we have changed that to be more in line with the thistle, where you get it in different areas of service. So, Grant?
Yeah, so our grant service award for the kingdom is the Star of Merit. So this is a black and yellow garter with a black 10-pointed star stitched on the bottom. This is our grant level award. So we have the ranks. Non-armigerous carries no rank, and they are beautifully nebulous in how the impact that those awards can have, and I think it's just beautiful. But we have our AOA rank, first level of rank. Grant is the next rank that you can earn, and this is the signal. This award is generally given to folks who are not only volunteering, giving their time and energy, but they're starting to take leadership roles. Maybe you're starting to teach, maybe you're starting to train, maybe you're starting to help improve the skills of those around you. It's the, not only are you volunteering, which is invaluable, but now you're also having a ripple effect in those around you. And our Star of Merit is the award that recognizes that. I'm thinking, unless you have more to add. A little blurb on the Star of Merit.
At the end, I want to give a lovely example of what would be each level. I have an idea.
So let me let you percolate while I talk about the last one. So
I also love that you guys brought all of this, because this is super helpful.
I'm glad she did. This is all her.
Not all of these things, but thank you for bringing them.
Oh, absolutely. And so the highest rank that you can award that you can receive in the realm of service is to be added to the Order of the Pelican. This is the one service award in the Kingdom of Ansiora that is recognized society-wide. This is true for our peerages, as they are defined across the known world, which is very cool. But the Pelican is, let me see what the society level is, award for broad service to the society over a long period of time. As with any awards, there is some level of subjectivity to anything that is given out, but the Orders of the Pelican are supposed to be I have my own insecurities about whether or not I think I'm meeting the standard day by day. I got to struggle with it. But the folks who are the leaders in the community, they are driving efforts of service. And so when you're talking about, for example, Nikkei's had a huge impact in how we organize lists, tournaments, how we work with our marshals, our list heralds, that kind of stuff. It's like you absolutely were a driver and a leader in that realm that had pulled other folks along with you. And you can talk about, leading the efforts in running gate, running events, those types of things. And so our pelicans are the folks who are the leaders in the community who are helping us improve and do things better.
So if you want to sort of think about the difference on this, and we're going to use the example of sitting gate. So whenever we have an event, we need someone to sit gate, sign people in, take the money. And so a crane level of service is, wow, this person always sits gate for their local group. They usually go and sit gate for their nearby groups. They're always very eager to volunteer. That's awesome. And then a grant level would be, this is my go-to person whenever we need someone to run gate. They have to run gate for me, and they are awesome at doing it, and I know I can ask them to do that, and they'll always do that. They're doing it locally, they're doing it regionally, they'll help out other places. Maybe they're even teaching some classes. And then a pelican level is, this person has overhauled how we run gate. They have improved it. They have developed a system. They have taken an existing system and improved it. They are teaching it. They are demonstrating this across the entire kingdom and possibly in the entire society. I mean, obviously these are, very subjective, but if you kind of want to think about each of these just sitting and doing the thing, that's awesome. We need that. That is our AOA level of that. And then you look at it local, regional, kingdom, and then doing the thing, teaching the thing, developing the thing for each of those levels.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the protege path.
Yay! Excellent.
So,
Yeah.
I would also point out that there's the stable comment for people.
thank you. Thank you.
That is a good point.
We missed that one. Thank you.
Oh, it's on my basket. I will
Yeah.
have to bring it out next time. That's a good point, though, because we can, maybe in post, I can update the
Yeah.
slides for next year so that we don't forget that one. So the Sable Comet, we talked about in the Baronial Awards, you can be recognized for service to the Stronghold, service to the Barony. The Sable Comet is a kingdom level award. Is it our Midras?
Yes, it is our
It is our
Midras.
Midras. Specifically for service to small groups, basically groups that are smaller than a barony. So we're talking our shires, our strongholds, our cantons, and in many places, I love that we have that award because things like our shires, our strongholds, our cantons are often groups that are based around institutions like colleges, military bases, things like that, which literally fuel membership for our big groups. Because you say, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to get out in Bryan College Station. I've graduated. Where am I going to go to get a job? We're going to go to bgwlad. We're going to go to STEPS. We're going to go to Stargate. And so we specifically have an Midras Award to recognize service and contribution to those small groups, which is super cool.
Yes. And I'd say it's kind of at the same level as a crane. It's just crane is more general and Comet is specifically for the small groups is the same AOA level.
All right, protege path.
Protege path. When you get into really contributing on the service side and you decide that you would like to have a mentor, you would like to have a teacher, you'd like to have someone to direct you. That is, so just like a knight takes a squire, a pelican takes a protege with funny little accents on it. So typically this is demonstrated by wearing a yellow belt. Your Excellency, if you want to stand up.
Oh, yes, he has his own. Excellent.
He is a student to a pelican, so he is a protege. And that this is a person that they can be your friend, they can be your teacher, they can be a mentor, they can be an advocate. These are the people that I say ought to be talking to you about, so what do you want to do next? Hey, I heard about this opportunity here. I think it would be really good for you. What do you think about trying out this officer position, this job? Or saying, oh, hey, you need a volunteer to do that? My protege would be really good at that. Mm-hmm. Those are the sorts of things that your pelican can do for you. It is, in my opinion, a very serious relationship. You are binding yourself to this person, and they are binding themselves to you. What you do reflects on them, and frankly, vice versa. Uh-huh. And this is also the person that ultimately will be the one that goes to the Pelican Circle and says, I believe my student is ready to be in this circle. Let's talk about them. And and I will say this about 3 times here, don't rush into taking a belt. Never rush into taking a belt, because you really need to understand what you want, what they want, and make sure that you're doing this for the betterment of everyone. I love my pelican dearly. I will say she was not really my friend before she became my pelican. I respected her. I liked her. We got along really well. She taught me a lot of things. She gave me a lot of opportunities. And while we had that relationship, we really developed our friendship. And now we talk on the phone 3 hours a week at least, because when she's driving home, she'll call me up and go, hey, McKays, and we'll talk about something. And so this is when we say, this is my peer, this is the sort of relationship, at least on the service side in my experience, what I've seen. Yeah.
I think that's a fair, I think that's a great description. I think we're kind of combining this
protege
slide,
path.
and if you want to advance to the next one. One of the things that I feel very strongly about with any student, teacher, mentor, mentee, advocatee, and then I didn't think that one through, is to, when you're entering into sort of that kind of relationship, especially in the context of the NCA, it's a relationship that's also public facing. And so it's really important that you have a decent understanding of what sort of relationship are you going to have. Is this we're friends and we're talking all the time, or is it you're giving me professional guidance more along like a mundane, workplace mentor, those types of things, and having at least a decent sense when you enter into the relationship of like, here's what I'm looking for right now, and then have the ability to revisit or talk about it again in the future, I think is extremely important, because that type of just clarity and communication with relationships is important, and it's especially important when you're adding in a power dynamic and like our award structure and these advocate type things and circles on top of that. Having that communication is so powerful, and it will, I think, only make your experience better.
And everything you were saying absolutely applies to any peerage.
Absolutely. It's not just for the service class, it's for any of them.
And I will I see one thing we missed on here is you do not have to have a Pelican. You do not have to take a yellow belt. You can still obtain the peerage without it. And especially for people who are RA peers, a lot of them will decide not to take a belt, but will have someone that will speak for them and advocate for them. And sometimes people don't even have that, but they have a crown that goes, this person's doing awesome stuff, and I want to talk about them, and so we're going to talk about them. It's there's many different paths to peerage.
Absolutely.
So how to get started?
Yes, we're going to talk some quick do's and don'ts for service. I think you wrote a lot of these, so I'm actually going to let you kind of run point on these.
Thank you.
I think I filled out the don'ts.
I have one don't. Don't rush.
Don't rush.
Don't rush. Do's. Talk to other people. Talk to other proteges. Talk to lots of Pelicans. Like when I was becoming a student, I talked to about 40. I had a little notebook, and I would talk to people. And like I'd have some Pelicans that barely knew me, and I'm like, I'd like to talk to you about it. And like big eyes, like shoot, this person that I don't even know is asking. I'm like, I'm not asking you. I just want to know how you work with your students, what you think's important, what you think a protege should look for. And also I would ask them, hey, is there anyone that you think would be a good mentor for me? Because, I've had people come to me and say, hey, here's this person that I think would mesh really well with you. You need to talk to them. And I've seen that on both sides. And actually that's kind of how I got my peer, was I had people I trusted who I did not feel would be good advocates for me, who said, hey, Countess Michelle would be a great Pelican for you, and she was. So the other thing is, go ahead and start documenting what you're doing now. This can be a Google Doc where you just went sat gate, ran gate, mentored how to do this, ran this list, held this officership. Eventually, the Pelican Circle does like having a resume. And I know this is our game. This is supposed to be fun. We're not supposed to have to write resumes and papers and all that sort of stuff. I will tell you, it's a whole lot easier to do if you already have that kind of running list of what you've been working on and doing. It can be super lightweight, revisit it every 6 months at Roundtable. That's when I always seem to update my resume, when I'm sitting there at Roundtable watching virtual things. I'll update my resume on the side. And even as a Pelican now, I still update my resume because I use that every time I apply for an officer position. And it's super easy to do.
Yep. And the point of the resume is, ideally, if you're being brought up in the circle, consideration for award, folks in the circle know probably some of what you've been doing. They've been seeing the impact and they want to talk about it. But they may not have a full picture of what you've done. And so the resume acts as a way to say, yeah, you've seen me, I did this thing that was very high visibility, but you may not also know the other things that I've been doing. And so it's a way to kind of prime the circle with a full, complete picture, and to give highlights of like, no, what are the big impacts that you've had, that you're proud of and that you want to bring to the circle.
And, when you're talking about the Knight Circle or the Mod Circle, they all know each other because they're all fighting each other. There's sometimes people brought up in the Pelican Circle I've never seen, because they work, youth activities in Venn time. My kids are adults. I live down south here. We don't cross paths. I did a lot of martial art activities, not fighting, but supporting the martial art field. Well, some artsy person in, north of the kingdom, they're not going to know who I am because they're not ever going to cross paths with me. So you do have to have some way to evaluate people for the circle that you may not have personally interacted with.
Yep.
And so my biggest thing next on dues is have fun. This is a game. This is a hobby. This is what we're doing. Don't take a job, don't take a role because, well, I have to do this because, it's going to look. Don't be a martyr. That's
don't do that.
not actually going to help your path to be a martyr. And, people can tell. And, if you walk away complaining about how hard and how horrible it was, you're not doing this right. And manage your resources. Most of us have full-time jobs, or we're students, or we have kids we're taking care of. It's super easy to dive deep into this game and spend way too much time. And, I'm in the middle of that right now because I am deputy head of entourage for their majesties, and I'm
You hopping.
they keep me hoppy, and then I'm regional seneschal, and I'm stepping in as ER seneschal, and I'm having to go. I need to make sure I'm saying no to things right now. And I've had a few people that have reached out and like, hey, can you do this? I'm like, no, I can't, because I cannot do all of the things I want to do properly. So that is something that a lot of people have to learn through their protege path, is how to manage those resources, how not to flake on commitments, and how to back out of commitments when they realize that they overcommitted. I would rather you come to me and say, hey, I know I told you that I could do this job, but I can't. Work got too busy, life got too busy, it was more than I thought it was. Come and tell me, and I'll be like, thank you for maintaining your boundaries. I support you. I will find someone else that can do it for us. Never feel bad about having to back out, but don't just flake. Don't just, ghost. Don't ghost.
And I have had to do this as well, and having to, especially if it's not something you're familiar with, having to go to somebody where I said, yep, I'm going to be there on this day and do this thing, and having to walk up to them or start that message to say, I can't do this, can be really hard. Yeah. I hate doing it, but it is so much more important to be honest and protect your boundaries and communicate rather than going silent, because then that not only hurts you, it hurts the people that you've volunteered for and whatever you're going to, and it's a cascading effect. And so even if it sucks to say, I can't do this, please say that.
And this is something that I see benefit people no matter where they are kind of in their life. I started this game in my mid-30s. I was already a professional. I already, knew how to do this stuff. I still learned as being part of this game, and the lessons I learned there, I then took to my corporate career, and I improved things there, and vice versa. As I learned things in my corporate career, the soft skills, how to interface with people, how to meet commitments and boundaries and all those sorts of things have helped in the game. Some friends of ours that recently moved away from here, but former B&B of bgwlad, they always said, you can sort of watch as you step up, if you get a promotion at work, you're probably going to end up getting a promotion in the SCA, and vice versa.
There's so much crossover.
There's so much
in skills.
crossover, and both areas will recognize the skills that you have. Okay, so what not to do.
We have just two big ones. Is don't rush into taking a belt, rushing into the mentor-mentee relationship. Just make sure, get the lay of the land, get a full understanding of who you're going to be working with, what you want, and how, what you're comfortable with as far as what path you're pursuing, and how that person's going to help you get there. Do I have anything under there?
I think that's good.
And
then don't do it for the awards.
Don't do it for the awards.
You will be disappointed.
Yep.
I promise you, you will be disappointed.
The thing that I have found that makes my SCA experience and other people's experience fun, rewarding, and fulfilling is to pursue the things that bring you joy. Do things that are fun for you. Get involved in areas that are interesting for you. Take leadership roles in things that are enjoyable for you. And that is, I think, the way to not only have a good experience, but also have a healthy way down the path. Because if you're having fun and you're enjoying what you're doing, everything else can fall in the wake of that very easily.
And then at the end of this slide deck, we have some resources.
These will be clearer in the slide deck. Big one's the wiki.
The wiki, any person can have a wiki page. It's for your persona. It can be for what you do as well. That is actually one way to sort of maintain your resume. But I would suggest that everyone go ahead and start up their wiki page. And again, once a year, go in and update that. I need to update mine.
You can also add snippets or fun stories on other people's pages.
Yes,
There's
you
like
can.
a populist contribution thing. So if you see that, I don't know, Anya or Sigrid or Kat has done something really cool, you can write a little blurb about it. And it could be even something in persona if you want to do it role play.
Yeah.
And you can submit those to other people's pages as well. It's a really fun collaborative space.
Also, we're always looking for wiki editors, so if you want to make this a more important part of your student's life, volunteer to be a wiki editor.
Yep. Yep, there's a team of 30 plus people that help edit the wikis. That's great. The other big tool for specifically in the service realm that's going to be a great resource for tracking officerships and stuff that you've held is AMP. So AMP is the Austere Management Portal. It's basically our administrative interface for the kingdom to track if you have authorizations, have you taken offices, deputies, if you're the steward for an event. Basically, it's a database that we'll use to track all of that. And so as you start thinking about taking officerships or anything like that, you're going to hear about AMP. And that'll be a useful tool. The team's I am working on the team that is developing it, and it's very fun to work on. Yeah. So if you were at all interested in software development, we're always looking for developers.
Yeah. SCA resumes, Her Excellency included hers here.
Mine.
I will say I will give mine to anyone. And I say that because when my Pelican told me, hey, we need your resume, now, I'd never seen one. No one, they share them in the Pelican circle, but a lot of proteges won't share them back and forth. And so I will happily show you mine, and I will happily share that. I actually recommend, I have a link tree. I don't know if people are familiar with Linktree, but it has lots, okay, I'm seeing lots of good head nods.
Little nods.
And so my Linktree has my Facebook profile, it has my service resume, it has my wiki page, it has my mundane resume as well, and I think it has my entry in the order of precedence. And this means you can go to Linktree/Nikkei's, and that is everything me. And that has made it easy that I can just provide that link to everyone. They're always going to get my latest version of my resume and things like that. So I will happily go to Linktree/Nikkei's, and you can find that, or I will happily share it with you. Sir?
Just a plug to that there right that if you want to then move your SCA experience onto your professional resume?
Yep.
Yes, I actually am wanting to write up an article or something about how to represent your SCA experience on your mundane, based off of that. What does being seneschal? What is a corporate title for seneschal?
I have one on hand easily. So local exchequer, right? They manage our money, our finances. But if you put exchequer on a resume for like a tech corp, they're like, what the hell is that? However, but if you put chief financial officer for the local chapter of an international nonprofit organization, that sounds really cool. And so there's a number of folks. I'm happy to do this. I actually put professionally in the SCA. I have a lot of experience like wordsmithing and writing things to align with that. And I'm also willing to share my resume. So if that's something that folks like want help on, just raise your hand and reach out about it.
Yeah, and not even today, in 5 years.
Yes, at any point in the future.
Hey, do you remember when you did that class? Absolutely.
Yep. And I think we're just on kind of final conclusions.
Yeah. Does anyone have any comments or questions or things that they want to bring up?
Here's something with SEO resumes, put your picture so that they may have seen you in passing,
Yeah.
and that's not something you want to resume usually, but it's all your SEO.
Yep.
In garb and kind of your typical
Typical
garb
garb, yeah.
that most people will assume. Yes?
As you are trying to learn more, and I think in case brought up in passing, but it's great when you're asking around to tell people right up front that you're just trying to learn more. Because some peers will get very nervous.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like someone's fishing for a peer and not being upfront about what they're asking for.
Because
There's a whole thing on does the peer ask or does the student ask, and it's worse than dating.
yeah, there's a lot of social nuance to it, but to Orazio's point, being clear about why are you asking about this can be so helpful, because I don't like it when people come up to me and it's like, oh, you're trying to get me to do a job, and I didn't. Peers can have the same, Pelicans have the same thing. If you're coming and talking about student mentor type thing and they're like, oh, you're trying to get me to do a job, I don't know if I'm ready for it. And they can have the same hesitations, as you do. And
So I've been trying to talk to as many Pelicans as I can, because right now I'm starting to look down my path of taking a belt. So I would be curious some of your thoughts about this, what you expect of your students and that sort of stuff. That would be how I approached it when I did it. And I will say, don't make my mistake, which was I took all my notes in a little notebook, and then I left that notebook at head table at an event on the other side of the kingdom. Unfortunately, I said, it looks like this. If you find it, give it to me, and please don't open it.
yes, that's very good. So yeah, I think let's then kind of wind this one up. Last notes is to repeat kind of what we said before, is make sure you ask questions. As you get into any level of volunteering, be that on the field, in the arts realms, or service across the society, manage your capacity. Be willing to say no, be willing to ask for help, and absolutely pursue the things that are fun and enjoyable, because that's the good starting point for having a good experience.
Communicate.
I
And
think that's the last one.
no, I think that's
Yeah, and then the slides, we do have a couple of useful links. Yeah, we've got the Pelican, the Order of the Pelican has a website where it's got a list of all the folks. Pelican's on the wiki page, we've got a link to AMP, we've got a link to Onstera Library that has all of the handbooks, rules, how to run gate, things like that. There's also the Onstera training site.
I'm the
which
training
we need to work on
deputy.
that. Yeah, we're
I'm the
going to
training
update that.
deputy. I need to do that.
And then I also included a link to, there's a YouTube channel called the Virtual Academy of Service-Minded Individuals. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it was when SCA shut down, went fully virtual during the pandemic, a number of folks started basically a series of online classes of how do I be an exchequer, how do I do a seneschal, how do I run gate, how do I
do you run
marshal,
lists?
da-da-da-da. And so it's just, there's probably 30 or 40 videos on there. They're just, if you need something to throw on in the background while you're doing other stuff, there's a lot of really good resource videos on there. Yeah, any questions? And then our second, while folks are thinking on your questions, our second set of slides is going to go much faster. This is want to show you the badges for the different departments and give you a brief blurb about what they are.
And obviously, being an officer is a large area of service that you can do. It's not the only area, but it is a large area, and it's a very definable thing. I will say we are always looking for officers, and officers are almost always looking for deputies. And there's a lot of things we don't cover in here as well for like there's a lot of deputies to kingdom officers. Like, I totally forgot that I was the training deputy because I really need to do some work on that. It's a deputy to the seneschal.
Yep. Yeah, there's going to be a lot that we don't mention.
Okay.
All right.
So starting with the general structure of officers.
We have a hand?
Oh,
I have something to say, it's not really a question, it's more of, just something, for everyone to remember that if you do volunteer for something and you have to, not fulfill that obligation, NCA events are very busy, and you can't always be sure that a conversation that you have with somebody is going to be remembered. So if you have a commitment, make sure that you put it in writing.
yeah.
Some kind of writing, message, in something, so that you don't get caught unaware, and somebody thinks that you failed on them and you haven't.
That's good.
NCA events are extremely busy, so just don't think that everybody's gonna remember the day after when it's been a huge event.
Yep. Good reminder.
And I will say that do not feel like all your service has to happen at SCA events.
Yeah.
There is a lot of service that happens outside. And I have a lot of people who are like, I'm really into fighting. And so when I'm at events, I'm fighting. I'm like, fantastic. I can find asynchronous service positions for you. So much I can find for you, not at physical events. You can be in your armor all day long. I don't care. Okay.
One other thing.
Yeah.
AMP is not just for officers. AMP is a wonderful place for you to go and put you're in there. Just go in there and sign up and put your membership information in there. Because every time I open it up, they're doing something new and wonderful. Right now, you can go in there and you can look at the calendar and you can see a calendar for every group and see what's going on, what fighter practice is happening, what event is happening, what A&S night is happening if you're traveling with work and you want to see what's going on in that group. And you can sign up for events to go to, and that lets the crown and your nobles and the other people know. So don't think it's just for officers, it isn't. Just go in there, and we're hoping, well, we know, it's not hoping, it's going to get better and better and better and better.
You should do an AMP class.
I should do an AMP class. I'm actually going to be teaching at least 2 at Roundtable. One will be a like AMP for everybody, so overview to give you, if you don't know what it is, give you the rundown, and then I'm doing, we're going to have a Q&A open hour during lunch for folks to ask questions, and I think I'm doing one other one.
We've dropped the term roundtable a few times. Who knows what roundtable is?
Do you even know what that is?
Okay, I see a lot of people who don't know what roundtable is.
Exactly 3 hands.
So roundtable is a twice-year administrative event. They used to be in person. COVID times, we moved them virtual, and we all realized that we love having them virtual. We can take them from our own house. But these are going to be all of the classes. In order to be an officer, sometimes you have to have taken a class on how to be that officer. It's called warranting. This is where we have those classes. It's where we can sit around and talk about the business side of how to run the SCA. So I'm going to be teaching some classes. You're going to be teaching some classes. Look, and it's easy because you can just dial in. It's all on Google Meet. You can dial into one class, a full day of class, and then at the end of the day, we have the State of the Kingdom address. where we will hear from all of the greater officers, which are kind of the key officers in the kingdom as well as from the crown, about what's going on, what the plans are, what's upcoming. You'll be presenting in that.
Yep.
Sigrun will be
You
presenting.
just reminded me that I need to get my notes together.
So that's in not this weekend, this weekend's 4th of July, next weekend's Cornet, the weekend after that is Roundtable. You'll hear some of us old people call it red tape sometimes, because it's all the red tape that we need in order to run the kingdom. So, but free, online, take it from your PJs.
Yep.
So officers, quickly when we're talking about officers, we have kingdom level officers, we have regional. The kingdom is split up into 3 regions, pretty much Oklahoma plus a little bit is Vindheim Principality or the northern region. Everything above Waco is central region, and then everything below Waco is the southern region. There's currently 10.5 groups in the southern region, in Tempe and Canton.
I know. They're becoming growing.
Yeah, and then we have our local officers, which is everyone who's an officer here in bgwlad or any of our other groups. And then you'll hear us occasionally talk about deputy officers. That those can be 2 different things. It can be, okay, you are the bgwlad web minister. She's not, but she's a bgwlad web minister. I want to be the bgwlad web minister, so I'm going to become her deputy, so she teaches me how to do this job. That's one kind of deputy. Another kind of deputy is, as I said, I'm the training deputy. This means I help the seneschal with, doing any recordings, putting stuff up on the website with training, and help coordinate how we kind of generically do training across the kingdom. This isn't me learning how to do her job. This is me helping her in her job in a different way. So you'll
Delegating kind of specific areas of
Expertise.
Responsibility to deputies.
Okay. So I'm taking over seneschal.
Yeah.
That's my jam.
So the next few slides, basically what you're going to see is the name of the department and the badge of the department. So the badge of the department is important because it says that's the department.
Yeah.
This is what it looks like. And so anytime, if you're at events or something and you see something with a seneschal badge, that's going to be administrative. You see the exchequer, right, finance badge, money is over there.
Yes.
Things like that. And so we've got included all the badges on here because just kind of being able to that has something to do with the marshalate. It can be really helpful to give you those visual codes.
And most of our greater officers actually have mantles, and you aren't wearing yours.
I forgot it. It's something else.
But yeah, it's basically metal collar that will have a large medallion on the front that has this badge on it. So
I'm currently the Kingdom Web Minister, which means mine has a giant badge of a spider on it, which I enjoy. Because webs, right? Get it?
So seneschalate is the basically the legal entity. So they are the people that are responsible for signing contracts. They are the people that are responsible for making sure that we are following all of the mundane laws and the SCA laws and Kapora. And technically, from kind of a top-down, our kingdom seneschal is a vice president of, I forgot, but it's a regional vice president, and everyone else is underneath them. And it's a very straightforward. We have kingdom, we have deputy of the kingdom, and then we have the regionals, and then we have local. Right now, Escarlata is the local for bgwlad. That's why they run the business meetings and or arranging, making sure we get contracts, making sure we get checks written for our upcoming event. I am regional, so this means that if they ever have problems, they come to me. And I'm making sure that they are submitting their reports, and then I submit all my reports, and I talk to the kingdom seneschal, and anything that has to go up, we do that. So that's sort of kind of the businessy side of things.
Yep.
So
All right, let's go to the next one. So the next one is our exchequers. Conveniently, the exchequery is the one with a checky design on it, if that's helpful.
Oh, I never got that.
I don't know if it was on purpose, but it helped me when I was starting out. These are our financial officers. They are responsible for maintaining our financial records, submitting reporting up the line, which all gets tied in for the annual. We got to submit paperwork, so because taxes and legal rules. So the exchequer are the folks who are keeping track of at the group level, regional, kingdom, of our money and our stuff. Because those are all the things where our modern world legal rules when it comes to money and property overlay, and so our exchequers are the one that keep us in line with that. Typically, I think the only thing I didn't mention is they also oversee financial committees. So as a barony, we don't have just a person that says, "Woo, I'm going to go spend our money." We make decisions either in business meetings in consultation with the populace, or our financial committees are a subset of officers that say, we're going to discuss and decide how this group is going to spend our money. And so exchequers are the leads for those committees. And if at any point we're running through things, if folks have questions, just raise your hand, but otherwise we're just going to keep on churning.
And if any of these sound interesting to you, let us know, because we can hook you up. Marshallet. So the marshallet is everything combat related. So it's led by the Earl Marshal, who is the marshal in charge of everything, and then he has a lot of deputies at the top level for basically each area of fighting. And then that structure goes all the way down. This is people who are responsible for safety. We have rules to keep us safe. They are responsible for making sure that we obey the rules. They're also responsible for writing those rules or revising them. At the local level, you'll see people in the marshallet chain also do a lot of training, keeping loaner equipment, and they're going to be the first face of all of our new fighters who are coming in to start playing. And so, I will say, being a local marshal is hard because you are at every practice. You are hauling 2, 3, 4 bins worth of stuff.
You're onboarding the new folks and getting them
every
armored
time.
and-
You don't get to fight as much as you might like to because you're having to onboard the new fighters. So always respect your marshals. They do a hard
do a lot of
job every week.
And just because I think I've managed to find badges for all the departments, but we have rapier combat, so steel combat.
Okay.
Oh, you're going to point at them?
So
Archery.
archery.
So not rapier. Heavy combat, rattan combat. Thrown weapons. That is equestrian because it has the horse thing.
Yes.
It's the weird horse thing.
Yeah.
Siege, hitting things from really far away. And then youth combat.
Those are the actual badges? I love that. I've never seen them before, but I immediately was drawn to the one with the label on it because that's in history the way you would put on your child. They would have that. So I love that.
Yeah, so this little thing is for the child. So actually, if you look at the stuff for the prince and princess,
They have that.
it will be the kingdom heraldry with the label on it and stuff. So then this little thing specifically called the label. So, okay.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think because we have cut and thrust as well, which is steel combat, but I think they share the same badge with rapier. I
Yes.
couldn't find a separate one.
They are
It's like a sub.
it's a deputy to a deputy. It's a deputy to the rapier marshal, so it doesn't have a separate one. And
Yep. And the marshallet, fun fact from AMP, is essentially a department of departments, and it is a forever battle between the marshallet department and the heraldic department for which one is more complex, like administratively complex.
the heraldic department has more complex titles.
They do. You got a lot of fun titles. We can go to the next one.
Okay.
All right, Ministers of Arts and Sciences. So this is our department who is responsible for fostering the learning, the education, and the teaching of all things history. Our art, our science, methods of producing skill sets, anything under that realm. Our Ministry of Arts and Sciences are responsible for fostering that and helping it grow. They also promote the dissemination of accurate information about the fields under study, which can manifest in teaching, training. It can also show up in tournaments, competitions, where folks are having, are presenting their research materials. And they also organize and coordinate all those types of things.
From a local perspective, your Minister of Arts and Science is going to be helping to make sure that we have classes or areas to do common things like here at PIP or
Fostering our guilds.
And all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
So heraldry, Sigrun is our star principal herald, which is our greater officer in charge of all things heraldry, and that covers voice heraldry, so the people that stand in front of court and do all of the announcements and all of the structure of court. It is registering names and devices and all of that stuff. It's also helping support our scribes, so the people who are doing the illumination, the calligraphy, and like what, all of those awards that they give out. What do those texts say? They're the ones that work to make with the Crown to make sure that this is what the award text says, and it's consistent from crown to crown and from award to award. And so, that is a whole beast in and of itself, and I am by no means an expert, and if you have any questions,
And
there.
I will say at many events, local events, so our heralds, you're talking about awards, scrolls, insignia, they're also the powerhouse behind how do you pick your name, how do you choose your device, how do you kind of lean into that heraldically identifying yourself in the NCA. And at any point at events, you will often see this badge, trumpets on a green background, that is almost always going to be a consultation table where there are the best kind of history nerds who want to help you dig into the books and say, let's talk about what kind of name you want. Here's the book on, here's my resources on Russian names. Here's, my resource on Japanese names. Let's dive in. And so you can often find heraldic consultation tables at events, which are super useful.
And it's cool in that your name, once you've registered it, is unique. So my name is Nicaise Montpetit. There is not another Nicaise Montpetit anywhere in the society. And they, and my first name and my last name are both documented to be French from within 50 years of each other in the same area of France, to say, yes, someone really could have been named this in this area at this time. Yes, that is a valid name, and you are the only one.
It's very fun.
It is cool.
There was a whole other class on heraldry, so we're going to keep moving.
Yes, we'll move.
Get through all of our departments. So the web ministry, I will talk about this one. So the web ministry is our department that covers websites and IT infrastructure for either society level or down to the local level. At the local level, your local web minister is largely the person who keeps your local website up to date. So all of your public-facing information, stuff about events, stuff about officers, if you've got like history about the group, those kind of things, your web minister is the one who makes sure that your public-facing online presence is up to date and it looks kind of good. At the kingdom level, so I'm currently the kingdom web minister of Ansiora, there's the extra addition of managing our IT infrastructure. So we're talking about our domain name, our hosting, managing our databases, the like shared infrastructure that groups use. And so there's there's a very difference in scope. But largely the web ministry is, let's make sure that online works well for us.
Yeah.
Let's make it work. Let's make it work well for us. And it's all the people and folks who make that happen.
And if you want an asynchronous job, this is a great asynchronous job. You can do it at home at 2 a.m.
Yep. And there's a fair amount, especially for the local web ministry work, is stuff that you can honestly do from your phone. Mm-hmm. So, and it's very cool.
Social media.
Speaking of online.
Online. So this is actually our baby greater officer.
They're
brand new during this reign, they have changed the social media officer to be a greater officer of state, which I think shows how much social media has become more of a thing in this game. So this is, what are all of our rules on how we, as the SCA, interface with Facebook, Discord, Pinterest, anything else. We write it very generally, so if the latest and greatest social media thing comes up, we can include that. But this is both to make sure that we are following the rules, that we support this, and also content creators. Yay! And so this is one of these, I would say we have 3 offices that are part of kind of our online communications, and that's going to be the web minister, the social media, and next,
The chronicler. So our chroniclers, in the early days of the NCA, these were the folks who published physical monthly newsletters that went out to the communities. And they still do that. They produce, chroniclers, kind of the big hitter that they do is producing a monthly newsletter for the local group, for kingdoms, and I think there's even a society publication that happens monthly. And these, in many ways, are like the source of truth for, is this event happening? Who are the officers? What is the current state of things in the kingdom? And so they function as a regular snapshot of not only the state of who's in what office, but also what's coming up, what events are happening, what groups have taken on what bids. And then the chronicler also, it's a newsletter, and so they include stories, they include artwork. They've done, there's been a couple of neat, feature articles on kind of very niche research, and so there's a lot of really fun ways to contribute to that. Our newsletters now are not physically printed. They're all online. They show up as PDFs, and so it's the type of resource that you can find online really easily.
That's kind of the end all be all. If you go to a event in the Outlands and need to talk to the Seneschal, guess what? You can pull up their newsletter on your phone, and you can get their SCA name, their mundane name, and a phone number or contact information for them. And so ultimately, that is one thing I will say on officer positions. There are certain officers that you have to be willing to have your contact information in your newsletter.
Yep. Landed nobility and
Seneschal.
great officers and seneschals and exchequers.
Yeah.
So those are the groups where you're required to have published modern contact info.
Chatelaine.
So
this
and then
is
it's the
we're almost done.
yeah,
We're almost done.
and then it's the society ones.
So Chatelaine is probably the officer that most of you have had the most interaction with. This is the person, we hope. Obviously the person that's going to be interfacing with all of you. And again, we have this from local level up to kingdom level, society level. This is how do we recruit and retain new members? How do we, there's so much lingo in this game. I'm talking about garb and mundane and, GOA and AOA and, how do we break this down to make it more fun for people who are brand new? And so this is another, they're working demos, they're working the, Sherwood Forest Fair and doing
Coordinating the newcomers classes, the academy.
Absolutely. And you'll hear people talk occasionally about Gold Key. Have you guys heard about Gold Key? Okay, I'm seeing good head nods. Okay, excellent. This is the Gold Key. Why it's called Gold Key? That's why it's called Gold Key. Because they are the people that will provide that loaner garb.
Yep, it's another symbol that you can see a lot at events. And Gold Key specifically means if you're new and you need things, usually it's garb, sometimes it could be thieves' gear, or you just need somebody to help you get oriented, that is the badge to look for. Because that means it's a station with folks who are prepared to do that, to help you with that.
Yeah.
And then our last, I think, great office, well, it's not a great office, but I didn't want to exclude it, is because I think it's still a department under the
No, it's
Seneschal.
actually a greater office.
It is? Okay. That was my
They
mistake.
just haven't been attending the meetings.
Okay, good to know. So the last great office that we'll talk about is our youth and family office. I say this at PIP because we're currently locally looking for a youth and family officer, but one of the things about the SCA is the Society for Creative Anachronism. We are a society, we're a community, and one of the ways that you can absolutely build community is by supporting family. And so our youth and family office has a high level purview at kingdom level to to down from there, to helping make sure that we have folks who are, have their background checks and they have the appropriate training to be working with youth. Folks, that we're going to have activities at events that are published, that we're going to have, if we need help supporting youth combat, they'll work with our marshals to help that happen. And so the Youth and Family Office is critical for that. And it's something that we always will seek volunteers for. So
And I will say, if you've ever done anything like with Boy Scouts or things like that, we do similar. We do background checks, and we do a 2-deep policy. So if you have people that are working with kids that are not their own kids, you are always going to have at least one of those people be background checked. It's always going to be 2 unrelated people, and line of sight and all of these rules, because that's something that we in the society take very seriously, is protecting our children.
Yep.
So, okay, you're going to have to do nobility.
I'll talk about the nobility. So I included as a reference here, top to bottom, the Ansura King and Queen devices. I think I got both of them. Yes. Yeah, I do. Below that, the Prince and Princess, and it's blurry, but you can see it's got the red little label that says child. In this case, heirs. They're always adults. There's a rule about that. Below that is the Windheim device. So in the case earlier you mentioned, we have 3 regions in the kingdom. Our northernmost region is actually a principality. So it's a it's a smaller group than a kingdom, but they have their own nobility that preside over it. They're the prince and princess, territorial prince and princess. And then at the bottom are the badges for bgwlad. We have the halberds, and then Hell's Gate, which portcullis and flames is the identifiable one. But our nobility, and I wrote this down because I stole it from actually corpora. Nobility shall be the chief examples of chivalry, courtesy, and the other virtues appropriate to the ideals of the society. They shall inspire these virtues in their subjects, work for the benefit of the populace, give appropriate recognition to those worthy of such honor. I mentioned we have local awards for the barony and the stronghold. We are expected to recognize those worthy of those honors. Encourage folks to feel welcome and participate, and work with our officers to help administer and be stewards of the lands that we preside over. So from the local level, we're talking, Austin area, Killeen, Hell's Gate, Fort Vazos, to Windheim region, Oklahoma plus the Panhandle, and to the kingdom, which is all of Texas and Oklahoma, except for El Paso, because they're very far away. The nobility carries that responsibility. It's a weighty responsibility, and it is something that is, I would say, not something you should pursue lightly, but having been seated nobility for a while and working with Oratio, I would say it is an extremely rewarding, if challenging role to take, and so it's been extremely fun.
And I will say that you guys are super lucky, because for the first time in a long time, we have the king and queen at our practice every week and stuff, and they're homegrown. So that's super exciting, and if you haven't met them, you should meet them because they're sweet.
Yep. The only other thing I'll say about nobility is for the crown, heirs, and cornet, those are time-boxed tenures. For crown and heirs, basically you're an heir for 3 months, you're crowned for 6. For the principality, you're the territorial prince or princess for 6 months. They're very short because they're very intense. You're doing a lot of traveling, a lot of working, a lot of collaboration, a lot of meetings, and a lot of stuff. You're moving a lot of physical equipment. And then the landed nobility, our baronial ones, those are not time-boxed, and it's actually one of the only positions in kind of the officer structure that is open-ended. It doesn't have a term limit, and that I would love to talk to folks more about that later because it's really fascinating. But it's just, there's a very difference because some of them are like intense and acute and short, and then others are less intense but longer and more open-ended.
Sprint versus a marathon.
Yep.
So, okay, we're just about done here.
There's two other categories that we're going to talk
So,
about.
society officers, so the entire society, this means the entire world, we will have an officer in charge of most of the offices that we just talked about. So the seneschal, the marshal, you have a kingdom, a society earl marshal, and chatelaine, and these are the people that are directing to make sure that all of the kingdoms, they don't all have to do them the same, but they all have to do them in the same vein, as well as making sure that all the kingdoms are obeying the rules and these sorts of things. Where'd you include board of directors?
They're under corporate.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're society officers, and this is the one distinction, they're kind of the analogous equivalent to all of the departments that we talked about, and they're all volunteer positions, just like everything else that we've talked about. And then there's the second category, which is our corporate officers.
And so that is, some of these are paid, and when I say paid, this is not,
There's like a tiny
you're not
difference.
making bank. This is, you might be covering your expenses to attend the required meetings, and we're not even going to talk about the time that you put into it. These are the people that are on the real business side of it. You'll hear people talk about the BOD, that's the board of directors. They make a lot of the decisions, they make a lot of determinations. Unfortunately, if we have someone that has to get in trouble and has to be restricted, that they're not allowed to play anymore, the BOD are the people that are having to evaluate that and make those decisions, or if any of the officers or the landed nobility break rules, abuse their power, or otherwise screw up, they're the ones that are keeping us in line.
Yep.
We-
Yeah, and so most of those, the board of directors, there's some level of allowance for travel, covering expenses, and sometimes there's a small stipend. But they're corporate officers. Usually you'll hear folks just talk about the BOD as like a catch-all for everybody. But so that's the last kind of like the tippy top, very much level of officerships that you can see.
And then you have the president, the
Yeah.
president of the SCA, and that's someone you might actually meet. He lives up in the
lives in
Steppes.
Dallas.
Dallas. He's former Baron of the Steppes. That's Bow. We like Bow.
That was great.
The vice president for operations, that's actually the society seneschal. That's the same person.
Nice, that's good. I
and-
didn't see that in the thing.
Yeah, and the vice president for corporate operations is the person that's making sure that the corporate side of things works. And then we have the treasurer, which is the person in charge of the corporate money, as opposed to the exchequer, who's in charge.
It's not confusing at
You
all. Don't worry
don't
about it.
care about these things. And then the secretary is the one that's keeping track of everything. And then sometimes there may be other things. But
A good example of other officers is there's like a society marketing office, which is actually relatively new in the last year or so.
but there's ultimately when people talk about the SCA as a entity, exactly. Where does the buck stop? If you're, talking about the room, the buck stops here. Unless it's legal, and then it's escarlata.
Yep.
If you're talking about the whole society, it's really going to be on the board of directors, and the president are going to be making those decisions. And I will say, love your board of directors, because those are the people that get blamed every time anyone decides that the SCA does something stupid. It's always the BOD's fault. And we've had some friends that have been on the BOD and friends that are on the BOD right now. So yes, ombudsman. Yes, that is the member of the board of directors that is assigned to be the interface with your kingdom. So this basically, if I have a problem in my kingdom and I do not feel like anyone in the kingdom can be objective about it, I can go to my ombudsman, and that is a lady who lives in, I don't remember.
It's always somebody
It's
not
someone,
in your kingdom.
she lives in another kingdom.
Yeah.
She lives in another, yeah. Yeah, and each BOD member has about 4 or 5 kingdoms that they are the ombudsman for. and they are the ones that are interfacing. Okay. No. Okay.
Yep, last slide on here is just a couple of resources. Our OnStero officers page, if you're ever curious about who holds what office, go to onstero.org/officers, and that has the latest and greatest information from AMP, which is our moving toward our source of truth for officerships. I did include the apply for an office link in case at some point in the future applying for an office strikes your fancy. And then I linked the society document library for the, defining the department's role of the board of directors, all the kind of corporate structure, that kind of stuff. The society library is where all of that gets defined. So I threw that in as a resource.
Okay.
Any other questions for us? Going once? Going twice? So, is that a question?
Oh.
Yep.